I turned the key in my front door at 9:47 a.m. on a Tuesday morning, 3 days earlier than planned. My fishing trip to Lake Superior had been cut short when the weather turned, and honestly, at 62 years old, I wasn't as disappointed as I thought I'd be. After my wife, Margaret, passed 2 years ago, these trips felt more like obligations to old friends than actual relaxation. The house was supposed to be empty. My son Derek had his own place across town with his wife Vanessa and their 2 kids. But I could hear movement upstairs, footsteps, the sound of drawers opening and closing. I set my duffel bag down quietly in the entryway. Something felt wrong. The hair on the back of my neck stood up in that way it does when your instincts are screaming at you to pay attention. I climbed the stairs slowly, each creak of the old oak steps seeming louder than usual. The sounds were coming from my bedroom. When I reached the doorway, I froze. Derek was there, packing my belongings into cardboard boxes. My clothes, Margaret's jewelry box that I'd kept on the dresser, the photos from our 40-year marriage. He was moving systematically through the room, wrapping items in newspaper like he was preparing for a move. Derek? My voice came out rougher than I intended. What the hell are you doing? He spun around, and the color drained from his face. For a moment, he just stared at me like he'd seen a ghost. Then he recovered, forcing a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Dad, you're back early. I was organizing some things for you. Organizing? I stepped into the room, looking at the boxes. There were at least 6 of them, already taped shut and labeled in Vanessa's handwriting. That's my good suit. Those are your mother's things. Why are they in boxes? Derek set down the picture frame he'd been holding, one of Margaret and me at the Grand Canyon. Dad, we need to talk. Vanessa and I have been worried about you. Living here alone, in this big house, at your age. I'm 62, not 92. I know, but after Mom died, and with your blood pressure issues, my blood pressure is fine. I take my medication. What's really going on here? He took a breath, and I saw his hands shaking slightly. We found a great assisted living facility. Beautiful place. Really. You'd have your own apartment, meals provided, activities, medical staff on site 24/7. We've already paid the deposit. The words hit me like a punch to the gut. You what? Dad, please don't make this harder than it needs to be. This house is too much for you to maintain. And frankly, Vanessa and I, with the kids getting older, we need more space. This is my house. I could feel anger rising in my chest, hot and fierce. Margaret and I bought this place in 1987. We raised you here. Every memory I have of her is in these walls. I understand that, but what? You're kicking me out of my own home? Derek's face hardened. Dad, you need to be realistic. You're not getting any younger. What if something happens to you here? Alone. What if you fall down these stairs? Or have another episode like last year? I had the flu, Derek. That's not an episode. Look, the papers are already drawn up. We're selling the house. The realtor is coming next week to do the appraisal. He pulled out his phone, scrolling through something. The market's hot right now. We're looking at probably 2.3 million, maybe more. We? The word came out like ice. There is no we. I own this house. My name is on the deed. Derek smiled then, and it was a smile I'd never seen on my son's face before. Confident, almost smug. Actually, Dad, both our names are on the deed now. You signed it over to me 6 months ago. Remember? When we went to see that lawyer about updating your will, my mind raced back. 6 months ago, Derek had called me, concerned about estate planning after Margaret died. He'd found a lawyer, made the appointment, drove me there himself. I'd signed some papers. The lawyer, a young guy in an expensive suit, had explained everything so fast, using so much legal jargon. Derek had said it was all standard stuff, making sure everything was in order. I never signed over my house. You did, Dad. I have the notarized documents. You probably don't remember. It's okay. That's part of why we think the assisted living facility is the best option. Don't you dare. My voice was shaking now, not with fear, but with rage. Don't you dare suggest I'm senile. My mind is sharp as it's ever been. Dad, please, get out. Dad, get out of my house. Derek held up his hands. Fine, fine. But this conversation isn't over. You need to accept reality. The house is being sold. You're moving to Meadowbrook Senior Living. It's already decided. He walked past me, pausing in the doorway. I'll come back tomorrow when you've had time to calm down and think rationally. I stood there in my bedroom, surrounded by boxes of my life, my wife's life, packed up like trash. My hands were shaking. I sat down on the edge of the bed, the same bed where Margaret had died in my arms, and tried to think clearly. 6 months ago, that lawyer's office. What had I actually signed? I went downstairs to my study, a small room off the living room where I kept all my important papers. Margaret had always been better at organization than me, but after she died, I'd made an effort to keep things in order. I pulled out the file cabinet and started searching. Tax returns, insurance policies, Margaret's death certificate, the original deed to the house from 1987. And then, at the bottom of the drawer, I found a folder I didn't recognize. Inside were copies of documents from that lawyer's visit. I spread them out on the desk and started reading. There were several documents, a power of attorney, giving Derek the right to make medical and financial decisions for me if I became incapacitated. That part I remembered. But then there was another document, a quitclaim deed, transferring ownership of my house to Derek. I stared at the signature. It looked like mine, but something was off. The way the R looped in Robert, my first name. I'd broken my right wrist in 2019, and ever since, my signature had a distinctive shake to it, especially at the beginning. This signature was too smooth, too perfect. And then I noticed the date. The document was dated April 15th, but I remembered that lawyer meeting was in March, not April. I checked my calendar, the old-fashioned paper kind Margaret had insisted we keep. There it was, March 18th, lawyer apt with Derek, 2 p.m. This deed was dated almost a month after that meeting. I'd never signed this document. Someone had forged my signature. My phone rang, making me jump. It was my daughter, Claire. She lived in Boston, worked as a software engineer. We talked every Sunday without fail. Claire, honey, I need your help. Dad, what's wrong? You sound upset. I told her everything. The fishing trip, coming home to find Derek packing up my things, the assisted living facility, the supposed deed transfer. As I talked, I could hear her getting angrier. That son of a bitch, she said, and Claire never cursed. Dad, don't sign anything else. I'm booking a flight right now. I'll be there tonight. Claire, you don't have to. Yes, I do. This is fraud, Dad. Derek is trying to steal your house. She paused. Have you checked your bank accounts? My blood ran cold. No. Why? Just check them. Right now. I'll stay on the line. I opened my laptop, hands shaking as I logged into my bank account. My checking account looked normal, but my savings account, the one where I kept the money from Margaret's life insurance and my retirement savings, was nearly empty. There should be $500,000 in my savings, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. There's $3,200. Claire was quiet for a moment. Dad, I want you to call the bank right now. Report it as fraud. Then I want you to call the police. I'll be there in 6 hours. I did what she said. Called the bank first. They put me on hold, transferred me 3 times, but finally I got a manager. She pulled up my account history. Mr. Brennan, I'm seeing a series of wire transfers from your savings account over the past 6 months. The first was in April for $50,000, then monthly transfers of $75,000. I didn't authorize any of those. Sir, according to our records, these were authorized by your power of attorney, Derek Brennan. He came into the branch in person. We have his signature on file. How much total has been transferred out? 49,600美元. I felt sick. Where did the money go? I'm not able to disclose that information without. It's my money. Where is my money? Sir, I understand you're upset, but freeze the account, right now. No more transfers. I'm reporting this as fraud. The manager's tone changed immediately. I'll need to transfer you to our fraud department. Another hour of phone calls. They froze my accounts, started an investigation, but they made it clear that because Derek had a legal power of attorney, proving fraud would be complicated. I'd have to prove he'd acted against my interests. Next, I called the police. They sent an officer, a young woman named Officer Martinez. She listened to my story, took notes, looked at the documents I'd found. Mr. Brennan, this is civil matter as much as criminal. The quitclaim deed, if it's forged, that's definitely fraud and forgery. The bank transfers, though, that's trickier if he had a power of attorney. He stole $500,000 from me. I understand, sir. But legally, if he had the authority to access your accounts, he didn't have the authority to steal from me. I agree. Let me take these documents, make copies. We'll need to have the signature on this deed analyzed by a forensic expert. And we'll need to interview your son. He's planning to come back tomorrow. Good. Don't let on that you've called us. Act normal. We'll have someone here when he arrives. After Officer Martinez left, I sat in the quiet house as evening fell. This was the house where Derek had taken his first steps, where he'd learned to ride a bike in the driveway, where Margaret and I had thrown him a party for his high school graduation, where we'd held him when his first marriage fell apart, where we'd celebrated when he met Vanessa. How had it come to this? Claire arrived at 11 p.m., having caught a red-eye from Boston. She looked like Margaret, the same determined set to her jaw, the same fire in her eyes when she was angry. She hugged me tight, and I realized I was crying. It's okay, Dad. We're going to fix this. We stayed up late, going through every document, every bank statement. Claire, with her methodical engineer's mind, built a timeline. The transfers had started 1 month after I'd signed the power of attorney. The first transfer, in April, was the same date as the forged deed. This was planned, Claire said. Derek had this whole thing mapped out. The question is, why? What does he need $500,000 for? The answer came the next morning. While we were having coffee, Claire's phone buzzed. She'd been doing some digging online, she admitted. Looking at Derek and Vanessa's social media, their financial records, anything she could find. Dad, did you know Derek's business filed for bankruptcy 8 months ago? I hadn't known Derek had a business. He'd always been vague about what he did for work, something with investments, he'd said. Claire turned her laptop around to show me. Derek had started a cryptocurrency trading company 3 years ago. According to the bankruptcy filing, he'd lost investor money, around $2 million. There were pending lawsuits. Vanessa's family put in $400,000, Claire continued. That's probably why she's pushing this. They need money to pay off the lawsuits, to get out from under the bankruptcy. So, they decided to steal mine. Looks like it. At noon, Derek knocked on the door. Through the window, I could see Vanessa waiting in the car, her face tight and anxious. I nodded to Claire, who'd positioned herself in the kitchen, out of sight. Officer Martinez was parked down the street in an unmarked car, waiting for my signal. I opened the door. Dad, we need to talk. Derek walked in, carrying a folder. I brought the paperwork for Meadowbrook. They need your signature on the admission forms. Come in. Sit down. He settled on the couch, the same couch where he used to watch Saturday morning cartoons. Spread out the papers on the coffee table. This is a good place, Dad. You'll be happy there. They have movie nights, exercise classes, even a putting green. Derek, I want to ask you something. Sir, where's my money? His hand stilled on the papers. What? My savings account. Where did $500,000 go? His face went pale, then flushed red. Dad, we talked about this. I'm managing your finances. That money is invested. In what? Various things. Stocks, bonds. It's all very standard. I called the bank yesterday. They said you transferred it out. I want to know where it went. Derek stood up. Dad, this is exactly what I'm talking about. You're getting confused. You asked me to handle your finances. You signed the papers. You need to trust me. Show me the signature on the quitclaim deed. What? The deed. Where you say I signed my house over to you. Show me. He pulled out his phone, scrolling, clearly buying time. I don't have it on me. It's at home. That's strange, because you had copies of everything else. Dad, that's because you forged it, didn't you? His eyes widened. I don't know what you're talking about. The signature is dated April 15th, but we went to the lawyer in March. I never signed that deed. You're confused. You probably don't remember. My memory is just fine. I stood up, facing him. You forged my signature. You've been stealing from my bank account, and now you're trying to force me out of my house to cover up what you've done. Dad, listen to yourself. You sound paranoid. This is why you need professional care. Is this about the cryptocurrency company? His face went white. I know about the bankruptcy, Derek. The lawsuits. The $2 million you lost. Is that where my money went? To pay off your debts? It wasn't supposed to go like this, he said quietly. The business, it was going so well at first. But then the market crashed, and we lost everything. Vanessa's parents, they were going to sue me. Her dad threatened to. He stopped, running his hands through his hair. I was going to pay you back. It was just temporary, just until I could get back on my feet. You were stealing from your own father. I was borrowing. It's different. This house, this money, it's all going to be mine anyway eventually. I was just accessing my inheritance a little early, by forging documents, by lying to me, by trying to put me in a home. Vanessa said it was the only way. If we sold the house, we could pay everyone back, start over. You don't need all this space anyway. You're just one person. This is my home. It's just a house, Dad. Mom's gone. It's just a building. I felt something break inside me. Get out. Dad. Officer Martinez, you can come in now. Derek spun around as Officer Martinez and another officer came through the door I'd left unlocked. They must have been listening from the porch. Derek Brennan, we need you to come with us for questioning regarding fraud, forgery, and financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult. I'm not vulnerable, I said quietly. No, sir, you're not. But that's the legal term for elder financial abuse. Officer Martinez looked at Derek. Sir, you have the right to remain silent. Derek didn't resist. As they let him out, he turned back to look at me. Dad, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I didn't respond. I couldn't. Through the window, I watched Vanessa's car peel out of the driveway when she saw the police. They'd get her too, eventually. Claire came and stood beside me, her hand on my shoulder. The next few weeks were a blur of lawyers, court dates, and forensic accountants. The handwriting analysis confirmed what I already knew. The signature on the quitclaim deed was forged. It was close, but not close enough. Derek had practiced my signature, probably traced it from other documents, but he couldn't replicate the shake from my old wrist injury. The bank transfers were trickier. Derek's lawyer argued that the power of attorney gave him the right to move my money. But our lawyer, a sharp woman in her 50s named Patricia Chen, argued that power of attorney doesn't give someone the right to steal. She proved that every transfer had gone directly into Derek's accounts, and from there to creditors from his failed business. Not a penny had been invested for my benefit. The district attorney was interested. Very interested. Elder financial abuse is a serious crime, especially when it involves forgery and amounts over $100,000. Derek was looking at multiple felony charges. 3 months after that terrible Tuesday morning, I sat in a courtroom as Derek pleaded guilty to forgery, fraud, and financial exploitation. As part of the plea deal, he had to pay full restitution, the $496,800 he'd stolen, plus interest, plus legal fees. The house was restored to my name alone. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison, though the judge said he could be eligible for work release after 18 months if he made progress on the restitution payments. Vanessa filed for divorce before the trial even started. Her parents, it turned out, had reported Derek to the police separately for defrauding them as well. Their case was still pending. Claire stayed with me for a month after it all came out, making sure I was okay. We sorted through the house, organized the documents, set up new bank accounts with better security. She helped me install cameras and a better security system, and we talked, really talked, about Margaret, about feeling alone, about what I wanted for the rest of my life. I don't want to sell the house, I told her one evening. I know it's big. I know it's a lot to maintain. But this is where your mother and I built our life. This is where I feel closest to her. Then don't sell it, Dad. It's your house. Your decision. I just feel so stupid. I trusted him. He's my son. He took advantage of that trust. That's on him, not you. 6 months after Derek's sentencing, I got a letter. It was from him, forwarded through his lawyer. In it, he apologized. Really apologized. Not the panic-driven sorry from that day the police took him away. He explained how the business failure had driven him crazy, how Vanessa had become obsessed with getting her parents' money back, how the pressure had made him do things he never thought he was capable of. He wrote, I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't know if I'll ever forgive myself. I had a father who loved me unconditionally, who would have helped me if I just asked. Instead, I tried to take from you, to manipulate you. I convinced myself it was okay because it would be mine someday anyway. But it wasn't mine. It was yours, your home, your money, your life that you built with Mom. I had no right to any of it. I'm sorry I forgot that family isn't about what you can get from each other. It's about what you give. You and Mom taught me that, and I threw it away. I hope someday I can become the man you raised me to be. Claire was visiting that weekend when the letter arrived. She read it over my shoulder. What are you going to do? She asked. I folded the letter carefully. I'm going to write back. Eventually. But not yet. He needs to sit with what he's done. And I need time to figure out if forgiveness is even possible. That's fair. I looked around the living room, at the photos on the wall. Margaret and me on our wedding day, Derek and Claire as kids, missing their front teeth, Claire's college graduation, Derek's second wedding to Vanessa, all of us smiling, having no idea what was coming. Your mother would have been heartbroken, I said quietly. She would have. But she also would have said that people can change, given enough time and the right motivation. Do you think he can change? Claire was quiet for a long moment. I don't know, Dad, but I know you shouldn't have to deal with this alone. I'm going to visit more often, and you're always welcome to come stay with me in Boston. A year later, Derek was released on work release. He got a job at a construction company, honest manual labor that paid modestly but steadily. Every paycheck, a portion went toward his restitution payments. At his current rate, it would take him 15 years to pay back what he'd stolen. He didn't try to contact me directly. That was probably smart. Instead, I'd get occasional updates from his parole officer, who called me every few months to verify that payments were being made. Derek was attending therapy, the officer said. Working hard, staying clean. I did eventually write back to him, 2 years after that first letter. It was short. Derek, I got your letter. I appreciate the apology. I want you to understand that what you did broke something between us that may never fully heal. Trust, once shattered, is hard to rebuild. But I also want you to know that I don't hate you. I'm disappointed. I'm hurt. But you're still my son. If you truly want to make amends, keep working. Keep growing. Prove through your actions that you've changed. Words are easy. Consistency over time is what matters. Maybe someday we can have a relationship again. But it will be different. It has to be. I'm protecting myself now in ways I never thought I'd have to with my own child. That's the consequence of your choices. He wrote back immediately. I understand. Thank you for not giving up on me completely. I'll spend the rest of my life proving I'm worth a second chance. Now, at 65, I still live in the house Margaret and I bought in 1987. Claire visits once a month. We have Sunday dinner, and she's teaching me to use FaceTime so we can talk more often. I've joined a woodworking club, taken up painting, started volunteering at the library. Derek is 3 years into his restitution payments. He's never missed one. Last Christmas he sent a card, no note, just Merry Christmas, Dad. I didn't send one back, but I didn't throw his away either. I don't know if we'll ever have a real relationship again. I don't know if I'll ever truly trust him, but I've learned something important through all of this. Protecting yourself isn't the same as giving up on people. You can hold boundaries and still hope someone changes. You can refuse to be a victim without becoming bitter. This house, these walls that have witnessed 40 years of my life, they're mine. Not because of any piece of paper, but because Margaret and I built this life together, and now I'm honoring her memory by living it fully, by not letting fear or betrayal steal my joy. I'm sharing this story because I want other people to know. If your instincts tell you something's wrong, listen to them. If someone you love is pressuring you about your home, your money, your independence, get help. Call a lawyer, call the police, call another family member you trust. Don't let anyone tell you you're too old to protect yourself. Don't let anyone convince you that confusion or memory problems justify them taking control. And most importantly, don't be ashamed if someone you trusted betrays you. The shame belongs to them, not to you. Family should be about love and support. When it becomes about money and manipulation, you have every right to defend yourself. Even if the person trying to hurt you is your own child, the house is still mine. My money is protected. And at 65, I'm not too old to build a new life, one day at a time.